we human beings, we are one of the best creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are unique as compared to most of the other creations. Allah has given us a free will. We can obey Him or we can disobey Him. We are unique. Unlike most of the other creations, human beings have got a free will. And if after Allah has given us a free will, if you obey Him, you become on a higher level, higher status. But if you don't obey Him, you go to the lower. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Teen, chapter number 95, verse number 4, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, that we have created the human beings in the best of molds. And this life that we lead, it is a test for the hereafter. Allah says in Surah Mulk, chapter number 67, verse number 2, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ. It is Allah who has created death and life to test which of you is good in deeds. So this life that we are undergoing in this world, it is a test for the hereafter. Allah says, Allah has created death and life to test which of you is good in deeds. Allah says in Surah Al-Imran, chapter number 3, verse number 185, Kullu nafsin zaiqatul maut. Every soul shall have a taste of death. And the final recompense will be on the day of judgment. And anyone who has been saved from the hellfire and enters Jannah, the garden, he would have achieved the objective of this world. For this world is nothing but mere chattels of deception. It is further mentioned in the Quran, in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 155. Allah says, surely we will test you with something of fear or hunger, with loss of goods or lives or fruits of toils, and give glad tidings to the person who is patiently perseverance. So this life for the human beings is a test for the hereafter. Allah will test you with fear or with hunger, or with loss of goods, or loss of lives, or loss of toils, of fruits of your toils. But give glad tidings to the person who is patiently perseverance. Allah says in the Quran, in Surah Nahl, chapter number 16, verse number 71, that Allah gives more sustenance to some as compared to the others. Allah says in Surah Anam, chapter number 6, verse number 165, Allah gives gifts more to some as compared to the others to test them. Allah says in Surah Anfal, chapter number 8, verse number 28, that your wealth and your children are a test for you. Allah says in Surah Taghabun, chapter number 64, verse number 14, that some amongst your wives and our children are your enemies. Allah is saying that some of your wives and your children are your enemies. Allah is testing you with wealth and children. Allah says in Surah Ankabut, chapter number 29, verse number 2, that it is Allah who will come to know who is false and who is true amongst you. This life that we lead, it's a test for the hereafter. And Allah has showed us the path to salvation. Allah has shown us the Rah-e-Nijat. Allah says in Surah Al-Asr, chapter number 103, verse number 1 to 3, Wal Asr, Innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu, wa amilu salihati, wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. That by the token of time, man is verily in a state of loss, except those who have faith, those who have righteous deed, those who exhort people to truth, and those who exhort people to patience and perseverance. These are the minimum 4 criteria for any human being to go to Jannah. This is known as the path to salvation.